Hello, and welcome to Flow with the Grow, a podcast for all things health, fitness, wellness, and self-development. I'm your host, Sophia. If it's your first time listening, I just want to say welcome. And before we get into the episode for today with Alexa, I just want to share a couple of announcements. Number one, this is a PSA. This is a reminder. We're going into the winter season here in the Midwest. I'm in South Dakota, and I just want to remind you to drive safe. Extra safe, safer than safe. I was driving this morning to Brookings, about an hour away from Sioux Falls, and I was going probably about 70 and hit a bridge area and hit an ice pack right after that bridge. I guess I didn't see it. And it looked okay, and the roads looked fine, but in some areas, obviously, they were not. And I ended up sliding. I went a couple different directions and then went into the ditch backwards. And I have not ever in my life shaken that much. I don't think. I was terrified. I was in shock. I was just hoping and praying that I wasn't going to flip on my side or roll or hit another car or go into the other side of the road, which actually I almost did go across the median and into the other side on the interstate. So just please be safe out there and drive super slow, especially in the conditions of if it's snowing or it snowed the day before, if it's windy, if it's cold, you never know where there could be some ice. And so a sheriff actually was right behind me like 5 minutes later. He drove up in the ditch and helped me out and just said that 70 was way too fast, which this has never happened to me before. I thought I was going slow enough. And so after that, I was going about 40 or 45 miles per hour. And on the way back, it was totally fine, especially closer to Sioux Falls. And I was even going like 60, 65 miles an hour still, even though I could have gone faster, but I just was still in shock and terrified. And I was going so slow. Semi-trucks were even passing me, but whatever. I don't even care. For anyone who doesn't know, I was in a really bad car accident when I was younger. And so I think I have some PTSD from that. And if not, I feel like I for sure do now after that. It was scary. Just remember, go slow. All right, that's my PSA number one. Number two, I am so happy and excited to announce that I am opening up my one-on-one club fit training, virtual training, some one-on-one online coaching. It has kind of a lot that's going to entail, but there's going to be individualized coaching. I want to keep it super personal and intentional with every single client. There's going to be some nutritional coaching and mindset coaching as well. There'll be weekly check-ins. There's just going to be a whole lot of stuff, and I'm really excited about it. One goal that I have and that I always keep in mind is with, the New Year's coming up, we have those New Year's resolutions, and maybe you are wanting to focus on your health and fitness. Maybe you're wanting to just be healthier, live healthier, be more energized, just make changes. And I know that the New Year's resolution, in the gym can get a bad rap. Like, I think people kind of get annoyed by it, and they kind of make fun of, well, it's a new year, New Year's resolutioners. They'll come for a couple of weeks and then quit and die off. And I just want to flip that story. I want to be someone who's going to encourage you. I want to be the one to help you stay so consistent and continue for life, not just go for a couple of weeks and then quit or give up or whatever it may be. Like, I always think about, what if everyone was so encouraging to those people who set out to have these goals for the new year. So I want to be the one that's going to help you to start and to continue and follow through on what you set out to do for life. And I'm not saying you have to work with me for life, but I want to help you to make changes for real and for good, and to help you to stay consistent and to keep going and not give up on yourself. So if you want to know more and learn more, or you have questions, please reach out to me via email, flowwiththegrowpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, you can reach out on Instagram at Sophia_Dawn41 if you would like to connect there, and we can talk about it. Third and final announcement. If you have not checked yet on Patreon, it is a membership site for anyone who wants some bonus content. There will be more bonus content coming eventually in the future, but it's just a membership site so you can gain access to even more. And you can check that out by going to patreon.com/flowwiththegrow. And with that, let's get into today's episode. I'm super excited. I brought on my good friend, Alexa. We connected through social media, actually through another mutual friend on Facebook who thought that we would really connect, and we had similar mindsets and beliefs, and he just thought we could become good friends, and he was right. I then asked her one day if she could talk about one thing to a group of people, one thing that she would want to teach, and she is passionate about teaching. I asked her that one thing, the one or two things, and her response was amazing. She said that she would love to talk more about the power of the mind, how to recognize and change the thoughts, stories, and beliefs that hold you back in any area of your life where you aren't seeing the results you want to see. And we also talk about the power and importance of having a vision. So this will definitely be an episode to maybe go back and listen to. She shares some really good insight. We have some really good conversation about it, and I loved every part of it. I think this aspect of life is so important if we are wanting to see and have success in any area of life, whether it is health and fitness or business or financial or relationships. I used to remind myself that my mind and my thoughts can make or break me, and it could be my secret weapon or it could completely destroy me. And some may say that that's maybe an exaggeration or a bit much, but it is 1000% true. Our mind, our beliefs have so much power, and they can either limit you and hold you back, or they can really propel you forward. So I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did. So with that, let's jump into today's episode.
Hello. Oh my gosh, it's so fun to see you.
I know. I've just been sitting here for like 5-10 minutes. I'm just like, oh, I'm so excited to see her.
I know. It's like we're taking our relationship off of Facebook.
I know.
I love it.
I know. Same. It's so cool to like, because I mean, I see you on, Facebook pictures and stuff, but it's always so cool to like connect live on video with someone.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's super awesome. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Well, thanks for doing this with me.
Yeah. I'm like really excited. We're going to kind of talk about some of this stuff because even just like being here and doing this is like a total, I don't know, just like kind of full circle moment because I would never have done anything like this prior to working on like belief and mindset and that kind of stuff. So
nice.
So I'm really honored to be invited. I was like, oh my gosh, like, are you to share? Like, that's so cool.
That's super cool. Yeah. I just like one day I don't know if I was just driving or things will just kind of come to my mind, like an idea or I don't know, things will just pop into my mind. And the question of, I love asking people, like the question I asked you, if you were to go into a room of people, what would you talk about? Like, what would you like to talk about? What would you love to talk about? And your answer, I loved. I was like, because I can relate to that. And like, I can relate to that mindset. And it's something that I've been working on the past like 10 years. And I think more people would benefit from hearing about all of that. And so, and I think you're super relatable. Like, I think a lot of people are where you are now. Like, I don't know, like, I just think that you're really relatable. So a lot of people can just, find value in that. So yeah. So then I was like, I should just ask her to come on and talk about it. And because I like talking about this stuff too. So it's just like a fun conversation.
Yeah. Well, and I think your whole podcast, and I feel like a lot of the things that you stand for and speak for are related to this stuff too. So I'm excited to jam out and like try to answer your questions as best I can. And we can just, see where we end up. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so first, tell me more about like just what you, because I know a little bit about what you do, but for anyone listening, and I would love to know too, more about what you do and just like who you are, what you do for fun, family, all that.
Yeah. So my name's Alexa Oates. And so I actually live in Idaho with my husband and my 2-year-old son. So for fun, we'll just start there because why not? We love, like, I played volleyball my whole life. So like we play volleyball. We love doing stuff outside, just kind of taking adventures. We love church. Like we're big faith people. His family owns a church up in Idaho, which is kind of how we got there. But as far as what I do, so I'm a network marketing professional. I've been in that industry since high school, but have been with my current team for the past 6 years. And what we do is twofold. So one, I educate on and connect people to a global wellness brand that really encompasses like a holistic approach to well-being. And then we also share like the business concept of network marketing with other people. And if they choose to, get in with that and kind of see the vision of what that could be for them, then we help them build a business online, in person, that is going to like work for their life, and allow them like to have flexibility or just get more of what they want. So I kind of feel like that's a big overall good way to describe what I do, is like I just help people get more of what they want in their life. And I just think it's really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah. And then so how this came up actually. So I've been with this company for 6 years. About 2 years ago, we really started learning more about the power of belief through Bob Heilig. So I'll refer to him probably a few times like as we're chatting, but he has like the Your Virtual Upline podcast and then his Legacy Leadership Academy, which is all about this stuff and like building people up, specifically in network marketing. But what I love about this stuff is that like it so can like transcend into like any area of your life. And so a lot of the things we're going to talk about, they just can be applied to like any circumstance that you're facing. And so like when we were going through this, I was like, holy shit, like this is powerful because it's life changing. Like it really can help people transform not only themselves, but like the people around them. And so even as we've been pursuing this, it's like, not only are we changing, but we like see the ripple effect of like our growth in our circles of people. And like, that makes me weepy. Like just the fact that like by us, like tapping into our potential and our best, like it influences the people who are close to us. And there's nothing more beautiful to me than that. So then also with that, so as we were going through this, I was like, I think this could really help people in the area of health too. And I'm sure you know this, and we could probably like do a whole conversation about that. Is just like, there's so many unhealthy things that happen when people like pursue health and wellness. And so through this mindset work in our business, I was like, oh my gosh, I really think this can help people in health. And so I got introduced to Laura Poburen, who I've shared with you before, and like her trigger mapping certification. And it was basically all of this stuff applied to health and helping like health coaches be better at what we do to like actually help people change essentially who they are, so then they can, go and change their habits and everything else. So
mindset is huge. Like, with anything in life, but yeah, definitely. I think that mindset within health and wellness and just like fitness and having goals within that, it's like, I feel like that has to come first before anything else. And like, I've talked about that before, but it's so true. If you don't have the right mindset going into it with a health and fitness goal or a business goal, like you're just not going to be as successful as if you were to work on that piece first.
Yep. Totally.
A lot of people need to, just like work on the whole mindset thing first. And I think it's super cool that you got introduced to all of this at such a young age, like high school. And then you said 2 years later after that was when you kind of started working more on like mindset.
Well, 2 years ago. So
2 years ago. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. And how old are you?
I'm 20. No. Woo! I'm 30.
Okay.
Flipping.
That's funny. Yeah. But even still, like, so like just whenever, when you start working on things, like I think a lot of people just don't have someone in their life to open that door or like to show them the opportunity, or they're just closed-minded to it, which sucks too. But if you can be someone who can show that, like pave the way and just be an example and show the way of like, hey, I'm working on my mindset and it's changing the like all aspects of life.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. It is like a ripple effect.
It is. It really is. Yeah. And I think too, it's like so one of the things that I try to do is just hold this space for people to like discover more about themselves. And then obviously like kind of facilitate the process of, okay, where do we go from here? How do we adjust that or shift that or flip the script on what you just told me? Because sometimes people come to the table and they're like, oh, well, this is the truth, which is like our belief. And it's like, but is that true? Like, what is it that has made you believe that that's true for you? And is it, and it's really cool for people to be like, oh, like it doesn't have to be true,
Yeah.
So those are really cool moments.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, it makes that person question, like by you asking that question, they're questioning that belief. And then it's like kind of like a light bulb switch to like, oh yeah, like, is this just a conditioning belief or a thought, or like, do I have to think like this, And the first thing, like just kind of the first topic we chose to talk about, or that you said that you would talk about, is the power of the mind. And you said how to recognize and change the thoughts, stories, and beliefs that hold you back in any area of your life where you aren't seeing the results you want to see. So I just want to know more about like your story with that, and just kind of like anything that was within your experience.
Yeah. Oh gosh, where do I start? So I guess what I kind of maybe have like a little bit of like an education piece first, and kind of, because we talk about like, oh, your beliefs, but like, what is that? What does that mean? And so our beliefs are really just things that we've decided are true in our lives. And what we have to like really understand, I think where like the magic happens, is understanding that like it's a decision. So we have had our beliefs typically are passed down, come from other people, because our beliefs are usually solidified like when we're really young. And so I'm a health coach. I don't know if I said that, but when I work with clients too, a lot of times we can actually trace a lot of their like disordered habits or beliefs or patterns to like when they were a child. And so at some point though, if you're not seeing the results you want to see in your life, or there's, you have a different vision for your life, but you don't know how to get there, like you have to take responsibility for yourself, and you have to start like owning your life essentially, and like digging into this stuff. And so understanding that like our beliefs aren't necessarily true, but it's how we've perceived our world or something that has happened to us. It's our perception. And, you always hear it, like perception is everything. Mm-hmm. And so most of us, and myself too, before like my mentor brought this to the table for us, like we just live our lives not even aware of the fact that that's what's happening. And we just like never give ourselves this space to like question our belief systems. And so those beliefs or stories or whatever you want to call them, they're essentially like hidden scripts that are just running our lives. And they either push us forward, like towards our greatness, towards our potential, or they're holding us back from sharing our gifts and our light with the world. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I really believe, and what I've learned is that like our beliefs and our stories, really can lead us to success or failure, but they also define what that means for us. And it made me think of you, like kind of as I was going through this, because you have a whole podcast episode on failure. And like, what does that mean? And most of us think failure is bad, and it's not bad. It's just what we think failure means for us. And so you're also kind of just like redefining things for yourself as you kind of go through this. So recommendation for everybody, if you haven't listened to that episode, like go back and listen to it because it's super good. But yeah, and so then we're going to talk about, I want to talk about like our thoughts and kind of this process of starting to identify and create awareness around those. But our beliefs really do just come from our thoughts that are like repeated over and over and over and again. And then they're cemented into our belief system and a part of who we are. And yeah, it's like this idea too, that like everything that happens to us or the things that we experience in our lives are neutral. So you could give me any situation in your life and it is a neutral situation, but we have to give things meaning as a part of our nature. And that is the choice. It's like, what are you going to let that mean for you? And that's why you can have two people who experience the same thing, and one of them can rise and one of them it destroys, because it's all in our it's all in our mind. And granted, like, I'm not saying that everybody's dealt the same hand. Like, some people have it harder, but ultimately, like, this is going to make or break kind of where you're going.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So that, and then it's also like part of this process for me has been understanding the way that the mind works. So we have, like, our bodies, insane. Like, they're so incredible.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. But like, we have so many things that our body has to do in a day to keep us safe. And that's like our number one job, is to keep the body's job is to keep us safe. And so we operate most often on like our subconscious pathways and patterns. And so this whole idea of like the formula, which I'll share, it's a part of Bob Heilig's training, but I'll share that kind of with you guys. But it just disrupts the pattern and then gives you something to like walk through to start to like change your stories. So yeah, so that's maybe not about me. I mean, I can.
No, this was amazing. I'm so glad you like just took the floor and like went in for that, because I didn't even think to ask like, well, what is a belief? Like, what does that mean? Where does it come from? So yeah, that was amazing. And it reminded me of, I listened to a podcast episode once. I don't remember like the name of it or anything, but it had said that when we're like 0 years old to 7 years old, we have our, I think it was our subconscious mind, just, or maybe it was that we don't have a conscious mind yet. So anything that we are fed, like thoughts wise, or people tell us things or whatever, that goes into our subconscious mind. And that's why too, like when we're older, a lot of limiting beliefs and things stem from when we're so young, is because it's all just in our subconscious mind. Like we don't remember any of that. Mm-hmm. But that's how like our brains are just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's so crazy. That just reminded me of that. So then, did you ever have a lot of limiting past, or like, did you ever have negative beliefs, limiting past beliefs, and all of that before you started getting into all of this?
Oh, yes. Yes. And that's like something I want to, yeah. Oh my gosh. Like, let's not open that can of worms. And I think that like, I absolutely have. And it's really cool to see like where, I mean, I like love growth and I love seeing development, but even seeing in yourself, like where you were to where you are now. And I want to like be clear about this, is like, it takes work. Like, yeah, you have to be in the trenches, like with yourself, and you have to be willing to like face the bullshit that you tell yourself.
Yep.
So like I'll just give you some examples of the like really big things. So one thing I identified, like my core limiting belief, is that I'm not enough. And so all of my limiting beliefs, all of my stories that are disempowering stem from that core belief of not being enough. And I think it's really common. I think there's a lot of people that could identify that as their core belief. So I really struggled with like thinking that other people's success took away from my own, which is so icky. Like when I realized that, I was like, damn. So I struggled to be like happy for my friends who were doing like really good stuff, because I thought it took away from my own success or growth or whatever. And so just flipping the script on that, and affirmations are really just like new stories that you're telling yourself. So one of the biggest affirmations for me with that was just that what's for me will always be mine and nobody can touch it. And so it feels so different, right? Like you're like, okay, hell yeah. Like what is meant to be mine will always be for me and nobody can take it. And so it just allowed me to kind of like let go of being worried about what somebody else was doing and just be excited. And I think it's also just like that empowerment piece of like, we empower other people. So that was one of them. That was a big one. And part of this process too, and is understanding that like, as we affirm new things, as we create new stories, new beliefs, the old ones are not like just going to go away. Like they're still going to come up. But the beautiful thing is like, as you affirm like the new stories and new beliefs, the old ones show up less. So it's this idea, we kind of call it expansion and retraction. So like, as you're adding new things in, the new thing might come up every now and then. Your old things are still going to be there, but as you continue to like add the new and reinforce the new, the old is going to show up less. it doesn't ever go away. Like that's one thing with this too, is like your limiting stories might never go away, but you have the ability to move through them faster and they don't hold you back as long. So there have been moments since I've been on this journey where like I'll see something and I'm like, dang it, look at her over there doing it so great. And then I'm like, whoa, hold on, no, like that, we don't live there anymore. And so you kind of you learn to like catch yourself in those thought processes or before they like really tear you down and kind of fester. So that was one of them. One of the other ones really is like a value belief, like a not believing that I have anything to share. So some of my thoughts there were like, why would anybody listen to me? I don't have value to add. I'm not enough. So this all came up really when I was starting to get into one, health and wellness, and also like really speaking about more of the business side of what I do, because I was like, well, I don't have the results really. So like, why would anybody listen to me? Or even on the health stuff, it's like, there's so many people out there talking about this. Like, why would anybody come see like my Instagram and check out my posts or that kind of stuff? And so what it kept me from was using my voice and like my gifts and talents to add value to my circle or world or whatever. And so the affirmation or story change there was that like nobody can do what I do exactly the way that I do it. And, you know,
powerful.
People need the way that I do things. They need the way that like you do things. And
right.
I think it's like it feels different, you know, when you say that, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's so much strength in like realizing what your limiting belief is and just being like, I need to change this. There's so much strength in that. And then, like you said, it takes work and like you just have to practice it, keep at it. Those beliefs will come back up. But then if you have an affirmation like that, that's so powerful that it changes the feel of it. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to help like propel you forward too.
Yeah. Yep. I know. It's so crazy too, because that's kind of part of the process too, is like writing down our limiting beliefs, or we call them red light stories. That's kind of the term that Bob Heilig uses. So it's like anything that you're telling yourself that kind of stops you. And then we flip them to green lights, which propel you forward. But when
do you write down all of, like you said that you write down limiting beliefs and then you write down the affirmation?
Yeah. So I can kind of walk you through, he calls it the formula. So I can kind of share that with like how that process works.
Yeah.
But writing it down is like my number one, like write it down because it's going to stare you in the face. Mm-hmm. And when you write it down, so I've had moments where I'll like write it down and I read it and I'm like, that's the bullshit that I've been telling myself. Like, and it kind of hurts. You're like, wow, like those are the things I say to me. Like I would punch somebody if they said that to me. You know, and so then you kind of like, you face it because you can see it. And then you can change it. Mm-hmm. So, before we maybe dive into that, one other thing that has been really powerful for myself personally is redefining success. So I feel like prior to this process, success for me was really based on an income or a title, specifically in business, but whatever area of your life you're looking at. And just like having all the things. And this one was a real journey because I think it was like very deeply ingrained in me. But now it's like success really for me is in the process. It's in the mundane. It's in the way I love and serve other people in what I do. Because I think those things also are what are going to get me to the income, the title, the whatever. And so now for me, it's like success is the way that I do things. It's not the destination or like where I see myself ending up. And we have to do the same with failure. So failure is just such a tricky thing. And to me, it's like, I told you this, like, I don't think you ever fail. You either succeed or you learn. Like, and so even just that mindset shift of like, how are we defining failure? And like, where do we go when we feel like we're failing? Because failure is there's so many people with a fear of failure. And it's like, but what does that even mean to you? Like, what does it look like to fail? Did you learn something? Well, that's positive, you know?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. It's a huge game changer when you can make that shift in your mind. because then too, like it changes the feel of it, like we talked about. And I know for me, in my experience, when I realized that failure has a positive power, like I can learn something, then is it really failure? Like, then does failure really exist? Like you are either succeeding at that thing or you're learning at whatever that, whether it was a mistake or if you see it as failure, like what did you learn? But then also it's taking the work to really think about that. Like, okay, what did I learn here? What can I do differently next time? Why did this happen? Where's maybe the silver lining in this? And I think that for me, anyway, it like that really helped me years ago to where I am now. And I think that's why I have such a maybe more of a positive outlook on life and challenges and situations. But it's helped me more than, it's harmed me. So
yeah. So it's almost like the idea of failing forward, like, and even just like failure in itself, the word, like maybe pick a different word,
Exactly. Yeah. Do you know who Tony Robbins is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. There's so many people who have no idea who he is, and I'm just like, but I knew that you would know.
That's mind-blowing to me, but okay.
I know. I'm like, what? But anyways, I don't remember what his course was, but it was one of the courses that he made, and he talked about changing like your verbal language, but then also a word that you attach to a feeling or a word that you attach, like just changing your words up. So like instead of mad or whatever it is, maybe, okay, so let's just say it's mad. What if you changed it to, I don't know, something that's like silly. So like maybe I changed the word to silly or like some crazy weird word that maybe isn't even a word. Well, when you begin to change that word out loud, it sounds ridiculous. Then you kind of start to laugh about it. And then it changes like your thought process on it and your body language and everything. I don't remember where I was going with that. But it's kind of like the same thing. Like we're changing our thought process and the beliefs but again, you just have to work at it.
Yeah, I love that you said that because I feel like that happens to me all the time. I'm like, I was going somewhere with this, but I have no idea.
Yeah, I really was. And I'm like, what were we just talking about? Because
I was talking about like picking a different word besides failure.
Oh, that's why I thought of that. Okay. Yeah. So like so just changing the word. Instead of failure, changing it to, I don't know, learn. Like, what if you just change it to learn, because then failure like just doesn't even exist.
Yeah. So, I love that. Wow. Like, whoop, goosebumps. Because it's like, instead of I failed, I learned, or I'm failing, I'm learning. Oh my God, Sophia. I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
Girl, truth out here. But it just makes me think of the whole idea of like disrupting the pattern because even changing your language disrupts a pattern. Mm-hmm. Something I like try to do with my health coaching clients too is like physical disruption. So it's like if you're in the office and you like always reach for the candy jar or whatever, like snapping your fingers is like a physical disruption in that pattern and like kind of gives you a second to be like, oh, okay, nope. I'm going to walk away from the candy. Yeah. Yes. Or like I think about in the early days when we would do phone calls to people what we're doing, the old days. God, I'm so old. Yeah. We would, like it's kind of nerve wracking and that's our own garbage, but we would do like jumping jacks and then we would get on the phone, but it like changes your body language. It changes your demeanor. Like now you're all hyped up and excited.
Totally.
Person. So
I do that before I record a podcast. Like if I'm like, no matter, I love talking to people and even like when I'm just talking to myself, I love it, but I still kind of get nervous at times. Mm-hmm. And also a couple of years ago, I decided to change nervous to excited. So instead of I'm nervous, I'm excited. And then before I record or do anything, I hype myself up. I just get excited. I'll maybe like jog in place or whatever. And then it's like, I got this, let's do this. And also Tony Robbins talks about that too, like just disrupting your pattern by doing something physical, like physically different. And it totally changes your energy, which is crazy.
Yeah, it does. I love that you said that about nervous and excited too, because they actually like create the same reaction in the body, like physically. So truth be told, when you asked me about this, I was like, no. I think I was like, no, but yes. I think that was my response. And you're like, okay, but why? But even this morning, I was like, I'm like really excited, but I'm also nervous. I'm like, no, I'm just excited. I'm just going to claim that it's going to be fine. Cause I've never done anything like this. And it's also like some of those red lights came up for me a little bit of like, well, is this going to be valuable? Like, do I have something to share? And then it's like, absolutely, I do. Like, especially because I have walked this walk and it has changed so many things. So anyway, I just think all of that is really powerful.
Yeah. And I know like I can so relate to you too, I think, because like I like constantly have to tell myself that even though there's thousands of people who talk about health and fitness and mindset, like no one will say it the way, like you said in the beginning, no one will say it or present it the way that I do or the way that you do. And every single human takes in different things from different people, and they like the energy from different people. And so it's like the way we each have that unique voice that someone else is searching for. So it's kind of doing a disservice to those people that we maybe even don't know yet if we, hold ourselves back. And then there was something else I was going to say, but I forgot.
Perfect.
That's a good, it'll probably come. It'll come back.
Let me know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What is the
end it there? No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, go ahead. What were you gonna ask?
What's the formula that you were talking about? Have we gone through that yet?
Yeah, no, we didn't go through it yet.
Okay.
So I just I was like, I need to say this when we dive into this part, but like I am not a part of like High Legs Academy. I'm like not affiliated with him really at all. I just am like a huge fan and a student of his academy. So I'm like bringing you these ideas, but I like want to give him credit and like it's his stuff. But we just use it and we love it. And it's just been really, really impactful for us. So the whole idea of this is, so he explains it as like there's circumstances, then there's thoughts and stories, then there's feelings, and then there's actions, and then there's results. So this is literally like when we do our weekly accountability calls, this is exactly what we walk through to like help our teammates like overcome setbacks, overcome obstacles, just overcome whatever it is that they're facing. And sometimes it's a strategy thing. Sometimes it really is a mindset thing. Most of the time it's a mindset thing. So circumstances are really just the situations. They're facts. They have neutrality. They don't mean anything. And so then with our thoughts and our stories, it's how we interpret that fact or that circumstance. And that's really the piece that is going to have like empowering or disempowering, positive or negative. And those thoughts or stories then evoke like a feeling in us. And we'll maybe talk about some examples. But positive stories typically create positive feelings, and negative stories typically create, negative feelings. And then our action is taken from how we feel. So like negative feelings usually keep us from taking action, and positive, uplifting, empowering feelings usually, make us excited to move forward. And then our actions obviously create our results. But the distinction to make there is that like your actions stem from your thoughts. So it's not always necessarily your actions that create your results, but it's your thoughts and stories. Because you can see somebody taking like all the action in the world and not getting what, the result that they're looking for, but it's because it starts with their stories, because that it changes your intention, your energy, right? So some examples, maybe I can share.
Yes. Please.
So I'll do a business one and then I'll do like a health one.
Okay, cool.
So this is one of mine from whenever, but so my numbers in my business were lower than normal for like that time of month or whatever. And so my thought or my story is like, we're behind, like, we're not going to reach our goal. Like I'm not like crushing this, like I'm failing is basically what I was telling myself. And so how that feels is like, I feel uninspired. I feel discouraged. I feel like kind of hopeless when I'm looking at like my bigger goals that I set out to achieve. And so the action then is like, I wasn't working my like daily method of operation. If I did, like my energy was not super positive. And so then what happened? Like I didn't hit my goal and it just confirms or affirms what I was thinking anyway. And so then what we do is take that red light story, like, okay, we're behind, we're not going to hit our goal. I'm not leading well. And we're going to flip it to a green light story, which would be like, I create the energy that I want in my business. I'm showing up daily and consistently to do my work. We're going to have more people join us at the table. I'm going to crush my goals and I am a capable leader. So like you can feel like those feel so different and they inspire different action. And then the results, are different. We talk a lot too about like not being attached to results either, and like really digging into the process. So that's maybe just like a side note. But maybe this is like one maybe people can relate to better if you're not like in business or network marketing. But so maybe you have like a goal of working out 6 days a week and you miss a day. So you're like, I'm going to do it this time. I'm going to commit to it. I'm dedicated 6 days a week and you miss a day. And maybe your thought is like, I suck at this. I failed again. I'm never going to get where I want to be. Why am I trying? And so you feel like garbage. You feel like a failure. That doesn't feel good. Like those thoughts don't feel good. So your action might be to take a break. Like maybe you don't work out again for a week or a month or 6 months. And then your result is that you're not achieving your fitness goals. You didn't move in the direction of what you wanted. And so you can see there, like the circumstances you missed today. Like the green light story might be like, I needed to rest or I had other things going on that were more of a priority for my day in that day. And it's okay. Maybe you create a story around consistency, like what you do most of the time is going to get you where you want to be. I can just show up tomorrow and I'll get my workout in. And so what do? Right? You just are positive about it. You move on, you get your workout in the next day. You don't go on like this crazy break for like a year or whatever. And then the result is you're continuing to move in the direction of the goal that you set for yourself. Because I feel like when you like walk it like that, you walk through the process, you see how it's just this major ripple effect. And there's also this idea of, it's called confirmation bias. So you can see in the examples I just shared that like your results are then like confirming what you believe to be true. And that's how our minds work too. So like we have an identity, we have belief systems. And as we go through our day, we're looking for evidence that those things are true. And so I wanted to share like gratitude is where this started for me, like practicing gratitude every day. Cause I also have a really big scarcity mindset and focus a lot on what I lacked or what was lacking for me. And so gratitude, if I could tell anybody, like step one is gratitude, like 8 to 10 things a day, write them down because it helps your mind focus on evidence of those things, the abundance in your life, and really can break the cycle. And when I started like practicing gratitude, it was like, oh, I'm like grateful for the sunshine and I'm grateful for health and I'm grateful for like these kind of vague things. But what I noticed is like, as I was going through my day, I started noticing more things that I was grateful for, like more specific things. And then it was like, oh, I'm grateful that, I can smile and wave at a coworker who might have been having a bad morning, or just these like really specific moments. And so I think like gratitude is a great place to start, but also that idea of confirmation bias, like whatever you believe to be true, you're going to find evidence of it. And so when we can start to like shift that to more positive, more abundant thinking, you're going to see those things. So with the working out, it's like you got caught up on the one day that you missed, but you failed to recognize the 5 that you made it, And so just like start to like give yourself credit too for all of like the good things that are going on.
Yeah. I think that our mind is just automatically going to attach to the things that went wrong or just those negative beliefs that a lot of times we just don't, it's just not automatic for us to think about what did go right. Or the positive things. There was a quote that I found in my phone recently because I was going through it because I had thousands of pictures and videos I was trying to delete, but it said, don't allow what's not going right to distract you from what is. And it's such a great reminder that we're going to get distracted with things that aren't going right, but don't let that distract you from the things that are going right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
For true. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's the formula. And again, it's like, this is why I think it's so life-changing and so transformative, because insert any circumstance, and marriage, relationships, fitness, health, business, like anywhere that you feel like you're being like not seeing the results you want to see, or you're being held back in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you could give a few, like whether it's steps or like, I don't know, my brain works in steps. So if you have someone who they're having limited beliefs and they recognize that and they want to change that, what would be like step 1, step 2? Like what are things that people can take action on like today to help with changing these stories and helping them reach, what they want to reach in life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the first one, I just shared it, as gratitude. If you're not already practicing gratitude, the number one place to start is just starting to just jump starting that abundant mindset. So gratitude is the first one. You can find gratitude journals. Carla White has a gratitude app. You can put pictures in, you can write like 8 to 10 things in there. So gratitude journaling, I think, is really important and can be like really eye-opening. So I can maybe share some journaling like prompts. Affirmations are huge. But I will say, because I've used affirmations in the past, I think that you really have to identify the red light stories and disempowering beliefs before you're going to have affirmations that like really speak to your like soul.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, affirmations are awesome and they're great, but if they're not like really hitting a chord for you and like deeply in like who you are, they might not be as effective. And I say that also with the disclaimer that like, you have to start somewhere,
right.
Like don't be discouraged from even starting because you like don't know what that deep stuff is. Like you'll get there. It's kind of part of the process. Mm-hmm. And then just practicing the formula, I feel like it just really gives you awareness, trying to maybe pick a day and like go through your day and really try to pay attention consciously to what you're saying to yourself and write them down. That's a big one. And maybe don't do it every day because that's exhausting, but like pick a day, pick one day this week and really try to pay attention to yourself and what you're saying. Bob Heilig has a free webinar about this, like the formula for transformation. So I don't know if we could maybe throw that in the show notes or something.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
He talks about, he has that available for people.
Yeah.
So those would be maybe just like my top things.
I love how you said that last one there about going, like choosing a day and writing down anything that you think is a limiting belief, right? Is that what you said? Like, yeah, whatever is like a limiting belief and just going and write that down, because I think that might help someone to really find what their stories are, what those limiting beliefs really are for them. And they won't realize that until they write down and see it in writing. And then you can start to, use those affirmations specific to those ones. Would you say that would be how someone could identify what their limiting beliefs really are?
Yeah, I do. I also think like as you practice that more often, you'll kind of see patterns. Mm-hmm. The other thing that has been really helpful, so say I feel like I mostly have like business examples because that's like where we use this the most. Yeah, but if there's any action that you want to take that you're hesitating, like those are really big moments of like, okay, like what is going on? So just an example, there have been people, you may or may not be one of them, I've been like, ooh, like I want to ask them to work with me, but I'm like kind of nervous about it. And so in that moment when I'm hesitating to like message you or reach out or whatever, like what is that? What am I telling myself about that? And usually it has literally nothing to do with the other person. It's, well, am I a leader she can follow? Is she going to think I'm a crazy person? Because especially in my industry, because we sometimes can have such a negative connotation with network marketing. And so sometimes that can seep in of like, I think I'm a crazy, one of those crazy people.
Yeah.
All of those red light stories.
Yeah.
Or, someone like you who's doing great stuff. It's like, well, she's already successful. Why would she look at this? That's but it's all my own stuff. And it's like, I can't make that decision for you, like whatever.
Right.
And so then you have to own your part of whatever it is you're doing. But I really feel like that's a big thing is like, if you're wanting to take action, you're hesitating for whatever reason, or you're stopping, there's a red light story. So then say, okay, what is causing me to pause? What is it that I'm saying to myself that's like keeping me from doing the action? And then how can I flip the script that gets me excited to do what it is that I'm doing? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does for sure. I love that. I think we maybe talked about this earlier too, but our bodies, our minds, like it tries to do what's safe.
Yes.
So something that might seem uncomfortable or like it's not recognizable, we haven't done in the past. That's to like that moment of what am I telling myself that's holding me back from doing that thing and why. But just to keep, like for myself, I have to keep in mind that the uncomfortness is just my body trying to stay safe.
Yes.
But then I can't expand. Like I can't do more if I stay in that safe zone, which I'm sure people have heard that before. Like you have to get out of your comfort zone. But like physically, our bodies internally like really do its thing to try and keep us safe and hold us back. Which is where that work
and I think when you understand that about yourself and your body is that it's literally its job is to keep you safe.
Yeah.
And then also it's like, what story are we creating about being uncomfortable? Because it's like, and affirm it. Like, I am comfortable being uncomfortable. Uncomfort is a positive thing because it helps me grow into like who I like am supposed to be or need to be or want to be. But I think when you realize like objectively kind of what's happening, like, oh, this is just my body's reaction to something and it's trying to keep me safe, but I am safe and, whatever. And so even that too, like step out of your comfort zone and learn, right? Like you're not going to fail. You can learn.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, I think that's the other thing too, is like when you take the action, you realize that it's not so bad. So like, even with this today, it's like, okay, this is going to be easier next time I like talk to somebody about this.
Yeah, exactly. You're just changing the story behind it. I always think about that. Like whatever I'm doing, if it's the first time, it's scary. Well, anything that we do our first time, it's going to be more scary and we might mess up a little bit, but this is preparing me for when I do it again or for whatever like future thing that I do, just having faith and conviction that it's only going to help me in something in the future. Yeah. And then at that point is when I'll look back and realize, connect the dots that, oh yeah, that's why this happened. This is the challenge, but this is how it helped me.
Absolutely. Cool. And I think part of this too, gosh, Bob Heilig, I'm like a huge Bob Heilig fan, obviously.
That's awesome. I'll have to look him up because I don't think I've ever heard of him before.
He's a cool guy. Yeah. Gosh, what did he say? I'm going to butcher it. I apologize in advance, but it's basically like what you have today is based on your past like beliefs or stories or thoughts or whatever. And that tomorrow is based on what you're thinking today. And I was like, whoa. Because so often I think we do that where we base what we're doing today on what has happened before. We have to like be able to detach from that a little bit because we use our past circumstances to form our beliefs. You know what I mean? And so, and even as evidence of what we believe to be true, we can look back and say, well, I can't do this because of X, Y, and Z. And so I also think part of that is when we get uncomfortable and we do the things that we want to do and we can learn to see the positives in them, then it like almost is like more evidence of where we want to go.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. It does. Yeah. So much to like think about and to ponder on. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about around the power of the mind and just like mindset and thoughts before we go into vision, having a vision?
Not really. I feel like we talked about a lot of good stuff and I feel like you added a lot of really positive stuff too. I think the biggest overarching thing is grace. There's going to be things that come up and like the worst thing you can do is judge yourself. And so when you're going through these processes and maybe you're identifying limiting beliefs or stories, or you have red light stories, just kind of be like, okay, cool. Thanks for sharing. Like, I'm glad I learned that about myself. And now I'm going to like do something different. Cause I think there can be a lot of shame when you like really look at yourself or you face things in your life that you're like, whoa.
Yeah. Or I feel like people might be afraid to do that work because then they're going to see what that stuff is.
Yeah.
But I love how you said and included to, give yourself grace. It's okay. And you learn that about yourself. And then like, what are you going to do to change it? But also maybe knowing and expecting that maybe it won't feel good. Like you'll learn that you are telling yourself this BS and that might not feel good, but that's okay. But when you expect that that's going to happen, it's not as much of a surprise. And it doesn't, it's not like, okay, I'm going to go back to my old ways. It's more of like, okay, I realize this, it doesn't feel good, but I'm going to move forward now.
Mm-hmm. Like embracing that, that process. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly part of it too, is like, it is a process, mm-hmm. And just understanding like, it takes time. Like we've been doing this for 2 years and it's still every day. I mean, every day it's like, okay, I flip that script and change that story. But it's easier now because we've walked the initial very challenging walk.
Yeah. It's like, it's kind of like it's a forever thing. Like you're always gonna be working on that, but like you said, you have to start somewhere and it might be more challenging in the beginning, but then later on, like it's just going to be easier. You'll be able to catch yourself like in those thoughts, but you're just always continuing that process. I feel like we're always just learning.
And I think maybe the last thing I'll share is just like baby steps too. Like don't feel like you have to change everything because this is a ripple effect too. Like, I'm looking back at the last 2 years saying like bigger picture, but pick like one area or one thing you want to focus on, kind of changing or shifting or, whatever. So,
yeah. Oh yeah. I love that you included that. Mm-hmm. Because then you're setting yourself up for success by starting small, one thing, baby steps. And I always keep in mind the just 1% every day. Like if you're getting better 1% or you're making changes, just like 1%, because that's going to add up to so much more. But you're setting yourself up for success by not choosing to try and change everything, just focusing on one thing, like one small thing at a time.
Yeah. And that's a huge thing in health and wellness too, mm-hmm. because I think there's like this all or nothing mentality that we like really struggle with. And we think we have to go and change everything. And so the way I kind of just describe it to my clients is it's like a scaffolding. So like, we're going to do this one thing and you're going to get really good at it. And it's going to become a part of who you are. And then we're going to like put something else on top of it. And then you just like build this really strong structure that is now you in your mm-hmm. life. And it's, something you can stand on like as you build. And
totally. That's something that I try and teach I guess when I was at Anytime Fitness, like taught my clients to just focus on one thing at a time, because then it's more doable. You're setting yourself up for success. And then when you get really good at that, like you said, we just add something else on top. And I've noticed that people are a lot more successful and they work at it a lot longer. Like it's just, instead of quitting because they didn't do the thing or whatever, they're working at it so it's more effective long-term, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, it is for sure. And it's like, I don't want to say easier, but like maybe you said it's just more doable. Like a baby step is more like, okay, I can own that versus a lot of stuff. So yeah,
for sure. Okay, let's get into vision. I love this. So the importance and power of having a vision. Kind of just go into that. I'll just let you kind of talk. And I would love to know what the importance of having that is, and the importance of having a vision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing with a vision is it's like your flight path. So it's really hard to get where you're going if you like don't know where you're going. And then it allows you to see where you want to go and then kind of like backtrack. Like, okay, if this is where I want to end up, what are the steps that I need to take to get there? And then you can evaluate. So it's like, okay, I'm taking these actions. Now I need to pause and kind of see like how it's working, or is it getting me closer to where I want to be? So if you think about like a pilot, right, they put their destination in and along the way, they're like, they have to check and make sure they're like still on track to get where they're going. So I feel like a vision kind of works that way. But yeah, so that's really the biggest thing is like, if you can't see where you're going or you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there? And I think a vision really helps with that.
Yep. When did you start, I guess, just creating just like cultivating a vision for yourself?
Yeah.
When did that kind of start?
That's a really good question. So I feel like I've always had a vision for my life, like kind of what I wanted it to look like. I do feel like it was pretty vague, which is fine. Like, again, you gotta start somewhere. Mm-hmm. But as we've kind of been walking through this process of building belief, because I think they go hand in hand. Like, I always feel like I stunted my vision because I didn't believe that it was possible. But really this last year, it's like, okay, put all of your stuff down. And if you knew that you couldn't fail or you knew you would achieve it, what would you have? And getting like very detailed about it. So we always talk about like a clear vision and like the 5 senses of like, what is it? What does it smell like? What does it look like? What does it taste like? Can you see it like happening? And I think vision too, the more personal it is, the more powerful it is. So like, I mean, when I read my vision, I like boohoo like a baby. Or you hear other people talk about their vision, you're like, whoa, like I can see that for you and it makes me want to cry,
Yeah. That's awesome. Have you ever doubted your vision?
Oh yeah, girl, come on. Yes, because I'm a human, we do that. But I also think, again, it's a process of like revisiting your vision. So I would definitely recommend writing it down and reading it. Like, so we did 21 days, like every morning reading your vision. And then my mentor actually texted me one day. She's like, I want you to read it 10 times today. Like, find 10 pockets of time where you like read your vision. Because I think there can be distractions and it's life, especially, I mean, I'm sure, but like, there's just so much going on all the time. And so you can kind of like maybe lose sight of your vision a little bit. And then I think that creates space for doubt too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But again, then it's those moments of like, okay, so then what am I telling myself? What am I believing about this? Why don't I believe that I can have that? Because one affirmation I really love too is that we're never more worthy or deserving of everything we want than we are like right now in this moment. And so just making sure that like, I'm not my own worst enemy when I'm looking at my life and my vision. But yeah, even just this last summer, I was like, oh God, is it going to happen? Or am I on track to go where I want to go? And so then it's just like, no, I am. And this is why. And I'm going to read it a bunch of times and see it. Cause when you can see it and you like know why you're doing what you're doing, like literally nothing can stop you.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Have you ever done a vision board or do you just write down your vision?
I do have a vision board in my office.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah.
I want to see it.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture sometime.
That'd be awesome.
But again, like, I think this is also cool when you're looking back. So I used to do vision boards a lot. And again, like they just were really vague. I didn't look at it and be like, oh yeah, like I want to be that. But the one I have now, I feel like is very like true to like who I am and what I want to do and where I want to go. But vision boards are great. It's also like, so one of my desires is to be like a generous giver. And I think when we have more, we're able to like give more. And so I printed out these little checks and I like wrote my name and the date and like the amount and what I was writing the check to, and it's up there. And so then you can like,
nice.
Oh, I did that. Or, one of my word for this year was embody too. So I wanted to embody leadership, belief, and like love. Oh, and faith. And so I like put those on there. It's just a good reminder, like it keeps it in front of you. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I do really like vision boards. I also feel like a practice, or maybe not practice, but like an exercise that I did that was really cool is like the ideal self. Because I think a vision is great for like the destination, but I also think it's about becoming somebody in the process. Like, who are you becoming in that process? Who do you need to become to like be that person who lives that life right? And so one of the things that we did was, who is that person? Who is your ideal self? And then asking yourself, like, what can I do today to be her? What's one thing I can do today that that person would do? And then you just like start kind of doing that over time. And then you're her, you know? And then the other thing we did was write a letter. So you identified your ideal self. Now write yourself a letter from that space to who you are today. And so it's like, what would my ideal self tell me if she was going to write me something? And that is super powerful because it's you. It's like your best self encouraging you today. And it's like, wow, those are the things you say about me. I love you, you know?
That's amazing. I don't think I've ever had anyone or like listened to anything that encouraged doing an exercise for the ideal self. Like it's always been, you know, a vision for your life, whether it's, you know, for business, having a vision board. I've done a vision board before and I really liked doing that, but I just never thought to have a kind of like a vision board for myself and who I want to be, because I need to become more, or I need to become like whatever it is in order to get to that vision that I have for myself too, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I even was going to say, like, using you as an example. I mean, you just left your job for how many years were you there? 6?
Yeah, 5.5.
Yeah. And you have all these things you want to do that are really cool, and you will, but it's like, who does Sophia need to be in order to have those things? And I think, again, like going back to my journey with like redefining success, like it's not about the destination. It's about like how I do things every day, who I'm becoming in that process. Like that is success for me. I think that's the magic, is like, who are you? Who are you becoming? Because that's how you're going to get what you want, the destination. And like, even with health and fitness, we talk about that. Like people have an actual goal and a physical goal. So your physical goal might be to lose 50 pounds, but like, what is that actually going to give you that you desire in your life? And who do you need to become to live your life that way? And we're going to get you to your physical goal, but like, you're going to become somebody, you know, in that process who is going to like be able to keep that once you get there.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love that so much. I need to like write. Yeah, I want to do that. Like just write down, like I'm kind of thinking I want to just write down my, whatever I want to embody for my ideal self. And then I don't know, just really, so I do meditation too. And a part of what I do for my meditation is visualization. So I'll not only look at my vision board, which since I've moved, I haven't done that because I don't have my vision board out yet, but I would normally like look at my vision board, but then also when I meditate, I like close my eyes and then visualize the visions or just like whatever I want to accomplish and how I want to feel when those things happen. But I've never stopped to like visualize me, like just myself. And I think too, something that might help someone, because it's been helping me, is I just need to, especially with like quitting my job and now trying to like build my own business, my own thing, I can get caught up in a lot of self-limiting beliefs. And I've been learning that the past couple of months about myself. And just the other day, I'm like, if I do 1 or 2 things each day that's contributing to my business or whatever, you know, the vision that I have, looking long-term, all of the things that I potentially will, you know, accomplish because of those small things every day. So like for me, it's just recognizing those things, those small things that I'm doing every single day. That's going to help, you know, get me to closer, I guess, to where I want to be, even if it's at a slow pace and not, because I want to do, that's the thing, is like, I want to do all these things. I have all these ideas and I want to just like do it now. And Kiana is really good about just like reeling me in and saying just like one thing at a time, just to like grow slow. And that's okay too. That's still growth.
Yeah, I love that, because that also has something that has like impacted me and a few other people in my circle, is like the idea of winning the day. So it's like, what in the sea of chaos and stuff that you are doing in your day, what are the things that at the end of the day, if you accomplish them, are going to make you feel like you won the day? And it could be related to whatever, you know. but that was really cool to kind of hear it that way. Cause and it might not even be related to business or whatever. Like one of my things is like, did I put, nutritious food on the table for myself and my son and my husband? Great. Winning the day. Love that.
Yeah, for real.
You get to define what it is and, and then I think it also brings into perspective, like, okay, if I did that, great. If the laundry is still sitting in my basket, it's cool because I didn't need to do that today to feel like I was winning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that's really.
Yeah. And a lot of it is just like defining what that is for you. Like everyone's different. And if you talk to someone and see what theirs is, does not mean that it has to be that for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. What else about vision? Is there anything that like you would, I think like the main thing that I took away was like from vision, at least, was to have a vision so you know where you're going. And it can be for fitness, business, finances, like whatever it is, but then also to make sure to incorporate a vision for yourself. And what do you have like clients that you encourage, like what do you encourage them to start with when having a vision? Is it to like write something down? Is there a specific exercise someone could do?
That's a really good question. I think specifically about health is just maybe writing down like what your physical goal is and then really asking yourself like why or what it's going to give you. I think I don't like to be fear motivated, but I think some people are. So, but even realizing that too is like, and if I don't do this, like, what am I giving up or what is it going to cost me? Some people are more motivated by that, but also like, what is it going to provide for me? And I think often, again, just talking about like health specifically is it's also like detaching yourself from the physical goal. So like for me, I really enjoy strength training and I like to pursue that. And, like we all want to look good and be confident and feel great and whatever, but it's also because like, I want to be able to play with my kid and he's like so heavy now. And so I'm like, I want to be able to pick him up and like be able to hold him and my arms not get tired because they do right now.
Yeah.
And so attaching it to something that is more meaningful to you. So I have a friend, I'll just use her as an example, who has like a pretty good weight loss goal. And one of the things she wants is like to wear a fanny pack. And I'm like, that is so cool. Like, girl, I'm just picturing you in your fanny pack, like dancing in your bathroom. So it's like about those things. So I think just like attaching it to something deeper. I mean, like I said, I could give you journal prompts for days, but maybe I'll just share some. Is that cool?
Yeah, do it.
Okay. So some of the things, and I feel like I didn't really answer your question, so sorry about that, but we're just going to roll with it.
You did. Yeah, you did.
Okay, cool. So you can so I'm going to talk about this in the lens of health and wellness, but you could really change it to whatever X, Y, and Z is that you're writing about. And this also goes back to like beliefs and stuff. What do you believe to be true about healthy living? X, Y, and Z. What do you believe that you need to do in order to like have what you want? So some examples would be like about food, about weight loss, weight gain, maintaining your weight. Like, what do you think of when we talk about those things? Where do those beliefs, thoughts, or rules come from? Have you seen other people in your life displaying those same habits? What are some ways they've shown up in your life? Are these things serving you and your long-term goals? Which habits are obstacles to you achieving your wellness goals? What are your mindset goals? What's your relationship with yourself? From your perspective, what do you think needs to happen in order for you to like move closer to your goals? So I think all of those things can help also kind of figure out where you want to go, like what's valuable to you, what's important to you, how is that playing into where you are currently, how's it playing into where you want to go. But yeah, and then I think also like that's kind of the role of a coach or an accountability person, is to then help you hear what you're saying and then kind of like, okay, this is what I'm hearing you say. Is that true? Is that what you're saying? And then you kind of can help, your people craft like where they want to go or their vision for themselves. So
yeah, I love that. I think it's important to have someone in your life where you can have, like that coach type person where they can help you navigate through like these prompts that we're talking about. And then also just like our thoughts and beliefs and then even a vision, like it's It's important, and it kind of helps people stay accountable to what they're wanting to do. So that's something that we didn't really talk about, but it is important, is to like have that accountability person, whether it is a health and fitness coach, maybe it's like even a business coach, or having like I know you said that you have a mentor, those things, and it can really help propel people forward even more and more effectively.
Yeah. And I think especially if it's something that you've been pursuing by yourself for a while, and maybe you're not like going where you want to go. I really do think like coaches are so helpful in that way, or a mentor or whatever. I also think just having somebody who you trust and who cares about you to hold you accountable, because accountability can be uncomfortable. Like there have been times where my mentor has been like, I need to tell you this because I love you. Because I love you, I'm not going to let you like stay in this place. And I do not like it when it's happening. I've like told her that. I'm like, I don't like this. It's uncomfortable and I kind of don't like you right now. But afterwards, I'm like, I'm really glad that you loved me enough to like call me out on my stuff. And, obviously she handles me with grace, but, I think that like coaches are really important people.
Yeah.
And leaders are really important people.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. What about, okay, so I guess I just have a couple questions left. If you were to, because we talked about a lot, and I think each person who's listening can take away whatever it is for them, whether it's something mindset, their thoughts, or the vision. But what would be like, if you could like wrap this up into like 2-3 takeaways that you would want someone to make sure that they like hear and walk away with, what do you think those would be?
Oh man, that's a really good question.
And it's hard because we just talked about a lot.
It is really hard. I think the overarching thing that I want somebody to hear is knowing that like you are worthy of like this stuff. Like you're worthy of pursuing yourself and you deserve it. Like you deserve everything that you want in your life.
I love how you said that, like the deserving part, because I know I put you on the spot. Yeah, and I just thought of that question too. So, well, like I said, I think each person will take away different things. And I think this is an episode that's going to be worth listening to 2-3 times, because since we did talk about a lot and some of these concepts might be new to people, it's like for me, I need to sometimes reread or re-listen to something before it clicks in my mind. And I'll always listen, or I'll always hear different things each time I read or listen to it. And again, I forgot what I was gonna say, but there's that. And yeah, I forgot. That's okay. But
I love that about you. I just have to say that. You make me feel so seen.
It happens all the time.
Yeah, I get that.
All the time.
I love it.
That's okay. Okay, so I do have one last question, and I forgot to include this in the email, but I think I'll be okay. So my podcast is Flow with the Grow, and I love asking people this because everyone has such a different view and answer to this. But when you hear Flow with the Grow, what does that mean to you? Like, just what comes to mind?
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to answer that, but I want to add one thing from your question before.
Okay.
So the one thing that I think that I want your listeners and people to take away is that like your beliefs and your stories are like the foundation of your life, and they influence every area of your life. And so like that's like the one thing I want people to hear, but it's also that like they're not cemented. Like you can grow. And that leading to your last question, like when I heard the name of your podcast, I was like, hell yeah. Because it's the flow. Like it's such a gentle word of like kind of how we grow. It's genius, Sophia. But it's like that. It is a journey and it is a process, and that we just have to be willing to go with it. And it kind of makes me think of that part too, of just the grace of it too, is like, you just flow with the grow, man. And you can't be hard on yourself, and you can't beat yourself up, because if you do, like you're like your biggest support, biggest advocate, biggest fan. And so, love yourself, just like, love yourself, be proud of yourself, see yourself, explore discover about yourself. And I feel like that's really what you help people do. And I think it's really cool. And I'm so grateful to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm so grateful for you in this conversation. And that main takeaway right there, that's super key, I think. Like a lot of people, that is the foundation for literally everything. And just to like flow with that and grow with that. So, and also I was gonna say, it's super random kind of like how we connected, because Brian on Facebook, I met him through I took a leadership course in college, and then the business that he was working for at the time came and spoke in our class about John Maxwell. And I had at that time been really into leadership and growth, and I was learning from John Maxwell and like his books and his courses and stuff. So then we ended up like talking more and whatever. And he's just like an hour, or no, I'm in the same town as him now. But on Facebook, he actually commented on one of your live videos, or sent me one of your videos and was like, I think you'll really like this girl. Like she reminds me of you. And you were talking about imposter syndrome. I think you were doing a series of videos, and I was like, dang, yeah, I like this chick. And, and then we just kind of like connected from there. I love like what you do. And like what I think that I was going to tell you this after recording, but I'm just going to say now that I think that you need to share so much more about this stuff, like mindset, and you explain it in a way that makes sense, at least to me. Like it just flows. I was just sitting there the entire time taking it in, and like, yes. And I felt my energy and my inspiration just like increasing. And I think more people need to hear that from you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And again, like this is like, we don't need to go into this, but it's also about like who you surround yourself with, because one of my like worries this morning was like, am I going to make sense? Like, am I going to do this justice? And so I do actually very much appreciate that. Like your words give me life. And I think that's part of this too, is like, are your words that you're saying to yourself giving you life too, Yes. But anyway, yeah, I love how we got connected. And I think, you find people who are like-minded and you kind of attach to them. And
for sure.
I'm just I'm like a huge fan of yours, and I think you're super cool. And I love like, keeping up with you. And, it's also just like the power of social media. Like we get to, cross geographical lines, because I don't live there anymore,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also think that it's an indicator of my own growth, that like, maybe I wouldn't have met you if I hadn't walked this journey.
Oh, for sure.
So even that encouragement of like, there's just so much good to come from like this stuff and growing in the process. And because you're one of your people, like, I consider you one of my people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, seriously, same. And it is crazy, because like when you do walk this path and you start to get more into this, like it's inevitable you will find people who think the same, or think the way that you want to think, or act the way that you want to act. And it's really powerful when you can surround yourself with those kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it also changes your thoughts and then your actions. So it's super important. So if someone wanted to learn more about you, and maybe they want to connect with you, or they want to learn more about what you do as like a health coach in your business, how can someone find you?
Probably on Instagram. It's just Alexa. I don't even know what it is. Hold on.
I'll link it in the show notes
down there. I'll figure out where I'm at. You can put it in there. But yeah, probably just on Instagram or Facebook. Those are usually the best way. I can, email, but
yeah, I will. And I'll link your social media in the show notes. And if you could send me information about the Bob Pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Is that his name? Okay. I'm going to link that stuff too, because if anyone wants to learn more about him and his stuff, then they can go to that too.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. And I'll just say at the end here too, like I'm totally, like I would love for you, Sophia, if you do the ideal self and you feel like you want to share, like I would love to hear that. But I'm like very approachable. Like anybody can slide into my DMs and say hi. Like totally cool with that. So
yeah. Yes, I can attest that. You're super easy to talk to. And if anyone's worried about, because I was in network marketing for a while, I've done a few different companies, and it definitely has a bad rap because so many people do it wrong or have done it wrong, or they've had people in their life where they're like super pushy. But I've always appreciated that you've never been pushy. You've always just presented me with the option and I could choose, and just, it was like a decision. So, I mean, if anyone's worried about that, you're absolutely not pushy at all. And I think it was important to me because we connected and kind of built a relationship first, and I appreciated that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I think that is like, again, just talking about the red lights, that has been with a couple of my favorite people that I'm like worried to ask because I still want to love them, even if they say no, and I think it's just that whole mindset of like, we like love and serve people first and then we grow. And so maybe I'll just put like a plug out there for network marketing people is like, it can't be about you. Like it has to be about the person on like the other side of the conversation, and you love and serve them first and then you grow.
Yep. I agree.
Like, that is like it's who you are. It's the way that you do things. And I also think for people on the receiving end of that is like, don't make an overgeneralized judgment about this industry because you've had a bad experience. So,
yeah, totally. Yep.
I think we need to really go into that on this. Yeah. but I think it's important to kind of share that. So
yeah. And I think it's important to also share, like, just to say open-minded, because I've definitely had a lot of people approach me about network marketing, even after I've been in network marketing, and even with your company too, actually. I just had, it was more pushy and I did not like that. But where was I going with that? Oh, to stay open-minded. So like when you came to me, anyone who comes to me about an idea or an opportunity or a business, I will never shut it down. I will never say no right away, because you never know. Like you never know how the person or that business or maybe a product can impact and change your life. Like you just don't know. And if you shut it down completely because you had a bad experience, or you have this like expectation that's not going to go, I don't know, that they're just being pushy or whatever it is, then you're never going to know. Mm-hmm. But I've had a lot of people, and even my own experience, where I was open-minded or they were open-minded and then their whole life was changed. But if they were closed-minded, then that wouldn't have even happened. So yeah, just want to tell people that too. Stay open-minded.
Yeah.
Everything.
Compliment. If you've been asked multiple times, it's a big compliment. Because people want to work with you. Like, come on. So you're like, thank you. Politely decline. Thank you.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's good stuff.
Well, I have super loved our time. This was amazing. Like I learned a lot, and I'm sure a lot of people listening learned a lot. They'll have to re-listen to this. But yeah, thanks for your time. This was like almost an hour and a half, but I loved it. It went by super fast. Mm-hmm. And yeah, thank you. I appreciate you. And we'll definitely talk soon, but I'm excited to get this out there.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thanks for asking me and inviting me and helping me get uncomfortable.
Of course, always. Okay, well, I will talk to you soon, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Okay, thanks. You too.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Flow with the Grow. I'll see you next week for your daily dose of positivity and growth.